Welcome to Shadow Talkers. I am Moondog, and with me is my partner,
I'm really Wolf.
Really Wolf. And then today we are interviewing a very special guest, someone who gets around a lot, Connor Flynn from Bigfoot Anonymous. We're excited to have him here. He's got a lot to talk about, so we're going to have to go over a few items. He's a big believer like us. He believes in the paranormal, Bigfoot. We were just talking about giants. He has some bones, so we're gonna want to talk about that a little bit. So I guess right out of the gate, Connor, how are you doing?
I'm doing incredible. I had a good day. I've already done one interview, chopped it up with mysteries of past and present, and that was a blast. And now I'm with you guys, and we had this planned for a week now, and it's an honor to be on here. And I'm super excited to be a guest and to chop it up and to use our three energies. The Holy Trinity. A tripod.
There you go. I love it.
Extra
That's
vibration. Yeah.
Well, so like I said, you believe in the paranormal and stuff, but I'm interested because your new Instagram post you did was a giant's bone. So could you talk about that real quick? Because I find that topic fascinating because I've seen it out there and people are always trying to debunk it, but yet more information and more artifacts pop up that tend to say otherwise.
Actually have a couple pictures of me and my buddy holding the giant bones. Pretty sure it's I'll hold it one at a time on there. So coming in pretty clear.
Yes.
Yes, very clear.
And that's the first metacarpal thumb bone, and clearly that's my hand right there. And I'm 6'1", so I'm a pretty decent sized guy. And that bone is bigger than my whole thumb. So that creature or man had to be from anywhere from 8 foot to 12 feet tall, and that is special. And there's mound builders and artifacts that blanket the United States and other countries. England is filled with native mounds and strange serpent diagrams and circles in the ground and special lines, the Nazca lines that are out west. There's so many geoglyphs and special sacred grounds on this earth that it's a big grid to the sky, to the ones above. It's just like they're playing tic-tac-toe with us, and they're just using their own canvas. But it's very cool, and that I've got a chance to hold a giant bone. So I have not much time for people that try to say, oh, giants never existed, and none of that is true. Bigfoot's not real, because I have spoke to people that have been touched by Bigfoot. I have been ran out of the woods by strange creatures, either Dogman or Bigfoot. And then I've held bones and seen prints on the ground that are 6 inches wide, and got pictures of those. Me and my mom at Ocheezy Landing, which is really close to Ocheezy Pond, when in the 1800s they captured a wild man. In the late 1800s, Indian gatherers and Civil War vets, they came together because Bigfoot was menacing their village and ruining the crops and taking the livestock and harassing the women and children. Wow. So they captured this giant and they took him to the Chattahoochee Hospital, and they thought he was an escaped lunatic. He's like 8 feet tall, covered in hair, mumbling, could barely speak. And they thought he was an escaped mental patient. And he lived there for 3 years, and he ended up dying, and they buried him right over where now there's a golf course. Now the golf course is abandoned too, but I've spoke to so many people that work over there, and they know the story, and all the locals know the story, and it's well-known news on these parts of blocks, So when people say, oh, there's no evidence, they had bodies, What about all the bodies that were covered from Mount St. Helens? They had over 60 bodies that had been carried by helicopters. And then the Kandahar giant, killed U.S. troops over in Iraq or in Afghanistan. And then the war on Iraq is based on bigger things than weapons of mass destruction. Saddam Hussein had ancient artifacts that were from tombs and pyramids that had superpowers. And same with the Nazis, they were really on to some paranormal stuff. So, the paranormal and supernatural, it's just supernatural. It's so natural, it seems super. But if we could just cleanse the BS and be ourselves and achieve our pineal gland and, be our spirit and our soul, then nothing nothing is off limits, and deja vu, and we build dreams in our minds. Like, what, we have the power of a brain, of a soul. Like, we got to stop selling ourselves short and believe in the government and believe in all the lies. We need to be ourselves and follow what's in our mind. And I've held our ancestors' bones in my hands and narrated over 200 newspaper articles about giant bone excavations. So, pick one. It talks about there's more than 10,000 mounds in Ohio, where I'm originally from, and the Serpent Mound, and there's right across the river in the Ohio Valley on the West Virginia side, in Moundsville, right across from the most famous haunted prison, the West Virginia Penitentiary. There's a giant mound, and they excavated skeletons from there 12 feet long, and it's phenomenal. And the Smithsonian and the government and the Forest Service and everybody who's not protecting us is lying to us. People are vanishing at a lot of rates with missing 401, and there's no warnings, nothing. People are like, oh, beware of cougars and bear. Guess what? There's dog man and wolf man and serpents and Gillman and Mothman, and then there's portals into other dimensions, and there's things from the sky. There's just no time for, oh, there's nothing out there, because there are things out there. People are like losing their homes, losing their reality, losing their children, and people say there's no time. Like, ask Dennis Martin. He passed away when he was 6. He got taken in Tennessee. Cullen Finnerty, he played for the Denver Broncos and the Ravens. You'd think he's pretty tough. He is. He's the toughest guy in college football ever. He got tracked by 2 giant men, probably Bigfoot, giant dark men. He's 6'4". What does that make? 2 shacks in the woods, hunted him down. He was found like a month later. They say he died of pneumonia, and it doesn't add up, and it's so crazy that the warning there. So it's up to us to spread the word.
Well, the biggest thing we've noticed is that people, again, technology is a great thing, because this is what we're using. We're able to get out there to show that things do exist, and people are using a lot of equipment now, proving that there's stuff out there, and yet everybody wants to just watch their Instagram, their Facebook, watch TV all day long, and not see what's outside. So that's kind of what we're about too, is just bringing it up. Really Wolf has had a lot happen, just like in her life when they were in Okinawa, and the paranormal, and people don't want to believe it, and it's crazy, because it's like, it exists. You can't imagine it away. You can't pretend it's not there. Right. And really, did you want to say something on that?
Yeah, I actually found it was really interesting out there. The Okinawans actually really kind of embraced the supernatural, in as they recognized it was there. And of course, the newer generations, not as much as the older generations, but I was there during Oban, which is around August, and you don't go in the water. And I actually didn't know that at the time, and went snorkeling, and I had something grab me and pull me in the water. And then found out afterwards that, you don't go in the water, because that's how spirits go from the afterlife back during that time frame. And just other things that happen there, I realized that they're a lot more open, and they seem to be happier with how open they are with the supernatural.
Right. It really opens you. Like I always say, it's just supernatural. If you can just let go of all the barriers and boundaries, then you can really tune into what's around you, because there's things we can't see, there's things we can't hear that are all around us that you can really only feel. And feeling in words and explanations and everything and calculations, it doesn't calculate well. It doesn't translate well, so all you can do is feel. But that is crazy. You were swimming and got pulled by something. It takes me down to like Bly Manor, the new Haunting of Hill House series.
I've seen that. Yep.
Under a pond, who knows what's out there? Under kind of water surface, to you might be 6 feet of water, but to them might be a whole ocean of spirits, like you were saying.
Right.
Wow. That's crazy. You have to listen to the elders and the ancients, and sometimes you go into
Absolutely.
uncharted lands and dive in when you don't know. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
they mess with some ancient stuff. We had that in our last podcast, and
Yeah.
they went into a burial ground area.
Oh, no. I didn't. I knew better. I just want to throw that out there. I knew better, and I was respectful, so
Yeah.
I didn't do
Yeah.
it. But
So
I
I
was
always
far in.
project like positivity on my awareness. Like I'm not trying to trample, I'm not trying to steal, I'm trying just to pay respects and just gain more consciousness, and whenever I'm out in the woods or going to Native American mountains too, I'm trying to be like as respectful as possible. Like I even have this little rock or like clay piece that came from ancient people, and I get so like nervous about like chipping it or like even like putting it away somewhere. I'm like, oh, like I gotta pay it like the most respect, and honestly, I just want to gift it to the right person one day, so it's not mine anymore, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. I play these games in my head, and sometimes I'm like, am I going too far? But no, I'm not, because the mind goes so much further than everything, and feelings like deja vu will remind you you're on your right path, and you'll see a black cat once in a while, and you'll see synchronicity in the numbers, and everything is a sign, and when you're one with it all, you also soak in some of the dark stuff too, because this world is pretty dark right now, and there's a lot of clouds and shadows creeping in, and we have to do more than wearing a mask than to protect ourselves from what's coming. And the only thing that's possible enough is to join forces and combine our energy. I look at everything at like vibrations and just energy. So just like all of us are clouds of energy, and we just have to combine, like some Power Rangers.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Connor, how did you get involved with it? What was the trigger for you? Like you saw potentially Bigfoot in the woods, or just anything, you supernatural. Like I've had paranormal activity almost my whole life, so to me it's like normal. It doesn't phase me. It irritates me, but I would say for me the paranormal was the biggest one, even though I love Bigfoot. What triggered you to say, hey, there's something outside that I want to go check out, or there's that other realm that exists? What does anything stick out for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a mixture of things. I was always interested in like scary movies and unsolved mysteries, so that is always there for me, And then I always was big on hiking and traveling. Like my dad is a fireman and played flag football, so we always went to like different hotels in different cities, and I'd be around his friends, always telling stories. After a few late ones, so I'd always hear some far out stuff, and they love to tell the cool kid who was like interested in it all, And then on Lake Erie, the Lake Erie monster, South Bay Bessie was always prominent, like always lore going around, and there was $100,000 bounty on her head for a while, and then the hockey teams named Lake Erie Monsters, so that was like always in our face. But then one incident, I had multiple incidents and encounters, but one happened when we were young, right before a golf tournament, and we were sleeping over at my buddy Alex's house, and we're playing pool, and Alex and Jake were like also best friends, and they had an encounter with some strange wolfman type creature, and I had them type up encounter reports from my book for the Letters and Family and Friends chapter. So we've been having a lot of dialogue about it recently, and they're some of my trippy friends, so we talk about a lot of this far out stuff all the time, And so I had to type it up because I always thought it was just so crazy, and I needed the exacts, but they were driving home with a fireman was driving them home, and they saw this like deer looking creature across the road, and then they noticed it wasn't a deer, it was like a wolf man prancing on 2 feet, and then it scaled a huge hill and then ran behind this barn like within seconds, which would take us minutes. And that was always like, oh, the legend at Alex's house, the Wolfman. And so I was sleeping over at Alex's house a couple months later, and we're in his basement just shooting pool, and we get this strange like eerie vibe about us, and then we turn off the lights and we start peeking through the windows, and we see the silhouette of like a monstrous man with, you know, pointy ears like a wolf, like a werewolf. And it could have been a ginormous dog, but it was down in a den where there's a creek and there's like caves and stuff. And it was like 5 or 6 feet off the ground, and there was an angle down. So this thing was anywhere from 6 feet to 12 feet tall, you know?
Wow.
And it's just so wild that it was watching us, and like I think it knew Alex at least, you know, because he was always just an explorer and just pushing it to the limit in his woods. And these creatures are very, you know, in tune with vibes, and they know who are good people, and they know who are geniuses. Like these missing 411 people, a lot of them are like physicists and crazy ranking people, and then some of these people have a little disabilities and stuff. So these things are really in tune with like our frequencies. So I think they just sensed that we were in no harm to them and just good people and interesting and explorers. And who knows, maybe they saw the future, seeing that me, Jake, and Alex would be on these crazy paths. Because, you know, I lived out of my car and lived across the country and moved to Florida. And then Jake lived out of his car for a little bit and moved to Florida and cleaning pools and doing a bunch of stuff. And then Alex is just a crazy wild guy, always pushing the limits. And he fishes and boats up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which is like Dogman haven. And, you know, he grew up with the Wolfman in his backyard. So it's just everything comes full circle. And now my book's getting published, telling their story and connecting the dots. And we've heard other stories from Brunswick. And now Dogman craze is like exploding, you know, in the cryptid world. So it's very, and it's always been there because lichens, lycanthropes, werewolves, rougarous, it's there in every single culture. Even if you look at like the Egyptian gods, some of them had kind of wolf heads, dog heads. So are they gods? Are they from the other planets? Are they past? And by the other planets, I mean like the other planes, you know, because I'm big on there's a dome above us. We live in God's planet. You know, we're the center of the universe. You look up, that's the sky, that's heaven. You look down, that's hell. Down is not Australia down there. We're all on the same plane, man. You know, sea level, you know, ice is flat. I've walked across Lake Erie. You can walk all the way to Canada, and it's the same elevation. It's the same above sea level, you know, it's sea level. And they got people, you know, chanting, you know, devil numbers and 666 and, you know, wearing shirts that say NASA, which means to deceive in Hebrew. And, you know, it's all fun and games, but if you look at the real picture, everybody's being so held down, and us as spirits, we can be so much more, and there can be clouds of positivity, but right now people are scared, and that's a lot to get over with, you know. 2020 is a huge punch to humanity as a spirit, as an entity, one. You know?
Right. And that's why we want to be positive and keep pushing forward. And real quick, why don't you plug your book? Because I saw you had that. So here's your chance to put that out there on our channel.
Heck yeah, man. It's an honor. It's an honor to be here and to be talking about it too. It's surreal, you know, because I was a writer all my life. I have a journal from 2000. So I was 8 years old, and it was before 9/11. So before that world, you know, because 9/11 stripped humanity of a lot too, you know. And but my book is called Erie Swamps: Road Trip to Eden, and it's a journey from Lake Erie down to the Florida swamps, and it ends in the Garden of Eden, because about 20 miles from here is the Garden of Eden Trail, and this guy made a documentary and wrote a book about the Garden of Eden, and actually being the Garden of Eden, because 27 of the 28 trees in the Bible are in that park. Gopher wood, which Noah used to build the ark, is also called Torreya, and it only grows in this region in the whole wide world. And in the good book, it says the delta breaks into 4 rivers. Well, only in 2 places in the world, right over there and Siberia. And Siberia is pretty chilly most of the year, you know, and I understand that in ancient days, you know, and the Bible is based on just like 6,000 years ago, and it's all just interpretations, I understand, but it's sacred ground, definitely, because most of Florida is flat, and this is valleys and hurricanes and tornadoes and Civil War deaths and things that go back further than time date back right to that valley. So it's pretty wild. So that's where my book leads, and it's my journey of like living out of my car and visiting family and just doing extreme things like breaking into golf courses and fishing in their ponds overnight because they got the exotic fish, and then the cops are coming and then there's lights in the sky, the aliens are warning us or trying to abduct us. It's a lot of stuff's always going on, and we're really into the Halloween season, and I'm a hip-hop artist and I made an album called October Forever. So it's October Forever with Connor, and C. Flinna and Bigfoot
Yeah.
Anonymous, Connor Flynn, and Eerie Swamps is awesome because it's a debut of something special. And I already have 3 books available for pre-order on Amazon, so I am going hard. And it's pretty funny. I was like, 3 weeks ago, I was like, yeah, I have like 4 books ready, and most people, I'm guessing 90% of people are like, yeah, dude, chill out. And then nope. 3 books for pre-order on Amazon Kindle. Everybody get them. Connor Flynn, Eerie Swamps, Road Trip to Eden. And then the second one is Big Brother Bigfoot, which is about like 15 or 16 Bigfoot type creatures, ranging from Canada to Arizona to California, the Honey Island Swamp I just got back from a couple of months ago. That's where Victor Crowley and the Rougarous reside. And I went to Pascagoula, where they had the river alien abduction story in the 70s, and we had an encounter in the woods that I got really sick, and we were jumping from these high pegs because it was above a swamp, and I had an accident in my pants, and that made me get separated from the group, and then something like charged me in the woods, and it was really crazy. But I've had a handful of encounters that I've went out and asked for, and then I've had other encounters that I was not ready for at all. Now that I'm more aware of Missing 401, I'm definitely a little bit more cautious and careful and a little bit more planned out. But my years living on the road and out of the car definitely just thrown me to the wolves, just sleeping at
Yeah.
marine and 24-hour gas stations and grocery stores and just anywhere I could just blend in for a couple hours and then just hit the road again and
So
to the next.
that's what you're doing now then, is you're still kind of just traveling around and getting
Well,
stories because
right now I have a trailer, and it's right down the road from my mom, so that's like the home base. But I still do a little bit of traveling. This year, I've done a fair share, but not like road trips to the other side of the country. But originally, when I moved from Ohio, I got a couch surfing account, and it's like Facebook for travelers. And I got accepted by this punk band, and they just got accepted into the Orlando Fringe Festival, and they wrote a musical. And I was in on the ground floor, and I'm like, oh, I went to college, I play guitar, I want to be a part of it, and I really needed a place to stay. So they ended up inviting me to join the cast, and I moved in with them, and we toured all around Florida and did the couch surfing punk rock lifestyle, screen printing, just traveling with the band. And then we did DIY shows with just like a 5-man band, and then we had the full musical with like 15 people and with mothers and people that were going to college at the time. So it was a lot. And then that was in Lakeland, and traveled around Florida a lot and just really, got thrown to the Sunshine State culture. And I would have had it no other way because I wanted to always like work in a pub, live above the pub, be a part of a
there you go.
team. So it was perfect. It was a musical, punk rock musical that had witches, potions, Holy Grail, Aleister Crowley, chants, and then the group was full of musicians and trippy people and people with pasts, and we did group meditations, and we really pushed the boundaries, man. We went to graveyards and did a lot of crazy stuff. We had this thing called Glass Corner in our kitchen that it was just, we broke glass and we broke plates, and I always had to cook, so because I was the couch surfer, the couch potato, so I was doing all the maid work, and the first few weeks I would be like so scared around the glass and everything. Couple weeks in with the punk lifestyle, a couple days without a shower, I was barefoot in that kitchen with the glass, and my your feet just like walking around hot coals, you know, you get rigid, you know, and it's goofy as heck, but it was the talk of the town for a while because, you know, people with stress would come over and they'd break glass and they'd feel better. And where else could you break glass in a house? You know, it was crazy. And we ended up becoming like myths ourselves. And it was kind of like low key a cult. And when I left Lakeland and came here with Hurricane Irma, it was definitely a little bit of adjusting coming back to real life because it was literally like staying up all night and like, you know, making shirts and doing weird meditations and screaming and filming music videos. And it was really fun and really up my alley, and it propelled me to new places. But it was like really far from the normal. So when I moved west towards where my mom lived, it was crazy. And then like a year later, I got a job. Well, I got a job right when I moved here at the bowling alley, which was like a historic amusement place and had its own wild stories. And then Hurricane Michael came and just obliterated it and tore this trailer apart and tore my mom's yard apart. She moved from Cleveland to Indiana, and then she's, you know, engaged right now. And then they sold their farm in Indiana, then moved here. They had fruit trees and a pond, and it was her dream house. And then within a year, the worst storm, you know, of the century, you know, came back and wiped us out. And it was a psychedelic and experience, but it was really harsh too because the eye came right above us and everywhere in the radius is sideways, you know, and every day to work still it's depressing on levels that I can't even, you know, comprehend, because you drive through forests that are supposed to be forests and everything's decimated, you know, for 2 years straight, and you're still seeing tarps on houses. It's really crazy, you know. And then everybody's parading around on the news like things, you know, like, oh, it's the news, this. Man, so many people are out in this current time suffering around the world, and it really made it real for me. Hurricane Michael, I feel horrible for anybody that's affected by natural disasters because they're just like refugees in their own state and country, and it's despicable.
Absolutely, it is. It's sad. It
But
is. Well, man, Connor, you sure have a lot to talk about. That's for sure. I think we're gonna have to wrap this up now. But man, your book. I'm gonna have to check them out. Actually, both of them, 3 of them.
Sure.
And were you gonna say something really?
I was just saying 3 books.
Oh, 3. Okay.
I'll throw it out there. 3 books.
Yeah, I gotta stare at the camera and then I see you move.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm glad you came on board, and your travels and stuff is bringing out just a whole bunch of stuff, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But
yeah, everything's connected too. I like ramble on a million ways, but somehow it all like comes back to like, hey, let's all just walk our own walk, you know. And if you be yourself and you follow your destined path, then all your needs will be met in abundance, you know. Like just be you and you'll be the best you. And we need to trust our soul and our spirit instead of propaganda. And I'm all for people on our team, you know, and it's really cool to chop it up. And I'm definitely down to chop it up in the future. And hopefully if you guys ever visit Florida, I'm definitely down to take you guys to the Garden of Eden or down Bellamy Bridge, or if you guys want to deep sea fish, we can catch some snapper and look for some mermaids. We always fish over like sunken ships, so it's really cool. And there's a lot of activity over the Gulf, and the Pensacola serpent is out there. It's kind of like a Nessie creature too. So it's really cool. Every day is an adventure when you live like us, you know.
Yeah, Florida definitely has a lot going on down there. Yeah. So everybody, like, check out Connor's Instagram account and his other stuff in his books. And it's definitely, he's got a lot going on. So Ruler Wolf. Go ahead.
No, I'll just show them and you guys can talk. Heck yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to have really close it out, but hold that up because we couldn't quite. Oh yeah, we saw that too in one of your videos.
EMF readers are very cool. I just take those hiking and through graveyards, and I had one really cool video at this like abandoned gas station that I asked for the presence to let itself be known, and I'm really looking for like a charge on here, you know. But when I video back, it looks like it says I'm here, like in a whisper, and it's super trippy, and that's like just a really cool video, you know. But there's so much. There's so much. You know, I've held a giant's bone. I've seen the tree arches. I've seen the tree bends. You know,
Oh
this is
yeah.
by the guy that owns I Know Sasquatch. It's the field guide to Bigfoot stick structures. You know, right outside there's a whole language in the forest that, you know, us humans, unless we really put our mind to it, we can't comprehend. You know, just like gatherers and hunters, they could see paths in the forest. You know, just imagine the Bigfoot. They could see the ley lines. They could see the pressure points of Earth. No wonder they congregate at certain areas. You know, it's
Right.
really cool. I just want to sink into the sacred ground, you know, and I take my dowsing rods with me too, you know, to communicate with the spirits and to find water, because if you find water, you find the goods, you know, and well, most of Florida is water because it's swampland, so no wonder there's creatures in every
Oh
direction.
yeah. The whole swamp area is just crazy. But
Definitely.
all right. Well, Connor, thanks. We super appreciate you coming onto the show. Really Wolf, you want to close us out? And
Yep, check us out on Instagram at Shadow Talkers. Check out Connor at Bigfoot Anonymous. And click the like button, subscribe. And until next time, don't forget to explore the shadows.